Live from London, UK, this is Coaching for Excellence. Keep your dream alive with internationally sought-after speaker, the no-nonsense business coach and entrepreneur, Placida Acheru. Join us every first and third Wednesday of the month as we bring you industry experts to empower and transform your world. Learn about entrepreneurs' secrets to success, client attraction, social media, website marketing, and wealth creation strategies, and many more. To increase results, go to www.coachingforexcellence.com. Call in to speak with the host at 1-760-512-7259. Now, here's Placida.
Hello and welcome to Keep Your Dream Alive. Happy New Year, everybody. And this is our first show for 2013. Can you imagine? Well, you're here live on Keep Your Dream Alive, and we are changing lives and impacting entrepreneurs, business owners, one show at a time. Today we have a very wonderful lady, Susie Heath, and this lady works with women. But rather than promoting assertiveness training and the empowerment of women, Susie teaches conscious feminine leadership, encouraging women to explore and embrace their true potency, intrinsic strength, presence of feminine energy, and to apply this in their personal and professional lives. She is not just any woman empowerment coach or supporter. She is some fantastic lady that I had to bring to the show. She is the author of Essence of Womanhood, a lovely book which I picked up a few years back, and no regrets whatsoever. I'm so delighted to have Susie on the show, our first show for the year. Hello, Susie. Welcome to Keep Your Dream Alive.
Hello, Placida, and thank you so much for inviting me here, and a very, very warm and beautiful and successful 2013 to everybody too.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, Susie, I have met you a few years back and at an event, and I loved everything about you. The back setting, the background, the book cover, everything of you just stood out from the crowd. And from then on, I've been watching you, even though you don't know that, but you stole my heart from that minute, you know. And today I have you on the show many years later, and I'm so excited to have you. I would love you to tell us a little bit about Susie Heath and how she started.
Well, a long history, which I'm going to cut very, very short. I started life out as a French teacher, and then I decided that it wasn't for me because it felt too constricting to me, and I felt I hadn't been out in the world enough to be able to teach these young minds. So I thought I would go out and explore the world, which I did, and I became a buyer in a well-known high street store, traveling all over the world doing fashion design. I was designing ladies' bras and then ladies' shoes, which was lovely. I had a wonderful time. Then I went into marketing. Sounds a far cry from that, but I went in as writing a book on London, in fact, for people from all over the world who are relocating to London. Then I met my husband, married, had 3 children, and started a business from home, which was a horticulture business. And I always liken what I do now from growing plants to growing people, because as far as I'm concerned, all the nourishment and the care you have to take to bring plants around and help them to grow and blossom to their fullness is exactly what I'm doing with my clients and with people as well. So I've become a relationship coach, an intimacy coach, a business coach, a life coach, you name it. I've got walls of certificates, which is something that a lot of women do. And I've also become a dance facilitator, which is where I do a lot of my work. This was really following the joy of what my body wanted to do. So what brought me to where I am, which is writing for women and helping them to become more in touch with their feminine energy, is because I was doing the masculine thing enormously well. I sort of had a PhD in masculinity, in a frock, if you like, because I've been taught in so many personal development courses by men And thinking, right, well, this is obviously the way I have to do it, I started to emulate them. And having been in fairly masculine businesses in the corporate market as well, even though I was in fashion, a lot of it was led by men, I realized that I'd sort of put my armor on and was working in a very masculine way. And then I worked with Tony Robbins, went around the world with Tony Robbins, for those of you who know him. And I thought, right, this is the way I have to do it. So I became even more masculine, emulating his behavior. And I had my power move and all the rest of it. And then I started to burn out, and it was not the first burnout. I've managed to burn myself out a number of times, so what was I not listening to? And it took a really quite serious illness for me to suddenly realize, actually, there's more to me than I'm allowing, and it was my authentic self was dying. My feminine was dying. So I started to realize, and this was before anybody was doing any work on the feminine, actually. I was one of the very first people to really stick my head above the parapet. I know when I was writing my book, I went to my publisher and I said, I'm terrified. I'm going to have eggs and squashed tomatoes thrown at me for daring to say that we need to get back into our feminine. And she said, I won't publish you unless you do that. So she set the line for me and said, unless you're controversial, I'm not going to publish you. So, well, yes, I have had a few squashed tomatoes thrown at me. So many women have been so grateful for this idea of really tapping into that feminine energy that we've got. And what's also so interesting is the number of men who are so supportive of my work. When I had a book display at Olympia some years ago, and the number of men who came up to me and said, thank you so much, we are so grateful for the work you're doing, was extraordinary. So while some of the women were resisting, the men were going, yes, please, we need you to stop being so masculine, because when a woman is in her male energy and the man is trying to be in his male energy, it's like two stags fighting in a wood. So I'm not saying here that we have to be what I call pink and fluffy and get back into the kitchen and do the washing up type of thing. That's not what I mean. There is enormous, what I now call the potency of the feminine, which is very different from the power of the feminine.
So our topic is the potency of the feminine in business. So I want to bring this to the first question. Why do you use the word potency when most women are talking about empowerment of women? Because, Placida, the word empowerment, I mean, immediately you say empowerment, doesn't your body start to stiffen up? All of my cells sort of line up and they become like little soldiers all in a row, and I can feel my body tensing. Empowerment means power over. So all these phrases that we've been taught about, empowering women, assertiveness training, the power of the feminine, pushing through the glass ceiling, it's all very masculine energy. And unfortunately, that's what we've been taught that we should be doing. But do you know that 87%, the latest statistics are that about 87% of women are exhausted, which means our adrenal glands have been overused. So physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we've become exhausted because we've been doing this power thing. Now, the reason I've chosen this word potency is that it's got a very juicy sort of feel. It's a little bit mystical, a little bit magical. But if you think about a homeopathic dose of something, a homeopathic dose, let me tell you from the dictionary what I found. I discovered a highly potent drug evokes a larger response at low concentrations, while a drug of lower potency evokes a small response at low concentrations. So for me that means that when we're in our full flow as feminine women, being proud and confident in our femininity, when we're fully authentically using our God-given gifts of womanhood, that's when we evoke a larger response from everyone and everything around us in low concentrations. In other words, with little exertion and expended energy. In fact, it becomes much more effortless.
So the dictionary goes on to say that potency has the ability to initiate a response at the molecular, cellular, tissue, or system level. And that sounds absolutely amazing. And I work a lot at this cellular level with people, and that potency shines out because, as I said earlier, I do a lot of my workshops through dance. Now, a lot of women love to dance, even those who say, no, I can't dance, I'm hopeless at it, no, I really don't like it. Secretly, and I've spoken to a lot of secret dance lovers, secret dance dare not do it women, who would love to dance because we did it as children. We were free and we pretended to be trees and water and sunshine. And I use that, the dance and the power of music to stimulate specific movements that brings an energy out in us that creates creativity and creates that feeling of joy and enthusiasm and influence, actually, because when we really bring that into our bodies, we start to behave in a very different way. So I don't believe that this next phase of our evolution should be about power. I think we need to be creating a very dynamic and fully functioning partnership with the men in our lives, be it business or personal, so we can be co-creators of our future and co-creators of our partnerships and community with other people. So can you see how, unlike masculine power, which is the power to create things that can be controlled, feminine potency is like a catalyst, if you like, that manifests those things that are beyond our control but which we can influence. So including those elements that our heart really earnestly yearns for. So that's that true intimacy, that relatedness, that creative self-expression, which is so important in business, authenticity from which comes trust, a sense of community, which is so needed these days as lives have become very separatist. You know, a lot of us are sort of sitting in our rooms, if we're entrepreneurs, or sitting in our offices, feeling actually very isolated, despite the fact that we have all this social media and potential for connection, but actually it's quite divisive. And that meaningful contribution is also what we need. So this idea of potency, for me, is something really, really important. It's an energy which embraces that strength. It's an effectiveness and an ability to influence as opposed to control. It's an ability to transform and change anything. And as I said, to me, it's got that sort of magical, mystical quality. It sort of reminds me of a Shakespearean play, like a witch's brew. It's sort of weird and wonderful and bubbling to be released. And it's like a strong perfume. You know, we talk about a perfume being.
I love the way you describe. Yeah, I love the way you describe it. I personally use empowerment for my women, so I'm going to start to reconsider using that word, for my women, because from your explanation of potency, I think I may be borrowing that word now. I may be borrowing the potency word. But you mentioned authenticity, and I want to say, and I hear, quite a number of women leaders use the word authentic feminine. So do you want to explain to us more about, what is this authentic feminine?
It's a lovely question. Thank you for asking me that one. What I hear is when I say authentic feminine, women are very frightened. Do you mean I'm supposed to turn up exactly as I am? The thing is, we've all been programmed so much from childhood, from our schools, from our religions, from the society in which we live, from television, from magazines, from social media, as to how we should turn up. And very often we copy other people's ideas as to how we should be, and that's not being authentic at all. My belief is, and this is purely my belief, is that when we can get rid of all those programs that don't serve us, that don't bring out that beautiful energy in us where we can be self-expressed, until we can do that, we're living in a world of sort of fakedom. We're not being our true self, when we can get rid of all that, there's an energy that comes up in us that is longing to be expressed. And we can then be individual without having to copy other people and without having to take on other people's programs as to how we should turn up. And when we're authentically who we are, there's this vitality and beauty and joy that comes out because we're living life with our truth. So there's a strong energy there. It's not a wishy-washy thing. It's not as I use the word fake, it's not a fake energy. It's the truth of who we are, and I believe it's who we're meant to be, who we're put on the planet to be. So it's actually getting rid of all the stuff. In my book, The Essence of Womanhood, that you talked about earlier, I call that book a personal undevelopment book, because it's about not developing the persona, the mask that we wear. It's about getting rid of all that rubbish and just allowing our true nature to shine. Not everybody's going to like us. And it doesn't matter, because there are enough of us for people to go, no, I don't like you. No, I don't want to work with you, but I do want to work with you. Because we all have that choice, that free will to go and work with people that we resonate with. And that is so exciting when we're given permission to be ourselves and do things our way. Then some people will follow us and be with us, other people won't, and that's perfect. I don't want to work with people who don't want to work with me. That makes it such hard work. I want to work with people who go, yes, I really like your ideas. Help me to be more of who I really am. And that's the work that I do, really, is to help people to be more of who they are. Give them permission. And for some reason, we all tend to need permission to be who we really are. But it's when the shackles fall off when we're being our real self. And yes, we can make mistakes and do things wrong and mess up, but that's fine too. That vulnerability is part of the charm of who we are. So we don't have to be perfect in the eyes of society. I believe we're all perfect as we really are in our own essence.
I want to bring you back to, yes, it does, very well. I want to bring you back to, you mentioned about dancing, how can we, tell us more about how to dance, and can we dance our way to success? Tell us more about, this dance thing,
Right. I've got two programs. One's called Dance Your Way to Success. I've got more than two, actually. And one is called Dance Your Way to the Top, which is the feminine leadership one. So the Dance Your Way to Success and Dance Your Way to Love and Dance Your Way to Health, I've got all these different programs. To me, when we move our physiology, when we move our body, our physiology changes. We're designed to move. We're not designed to sit behind a desk all the time looking at this box and pressing buttons and then coming away from that and sitting in front of another box and then getting into a box on wheels. We've got very constrained into this idea of not moving our bodies the way it's designed to. The body loves to move. And I don't mean going and pumping iron necessarily at the gym. A lot of people don't like to do that. To dance, and I'm not talking about structured dance. This is about, and it's not creative dance, and it's not free dance either. It has a structure in as much as when I'm running a workshop, I have an exercise that lasts the length of a piece of music, so maybe 3 minutes, with a particular way of doing it, which I demonstrate, and then people do their own version. What happens when people start to move is that they are then able to self-express, to express who they really are deep down inside. And the transformation is absolutely extraordinary. I was doing a workshop with Dr. Rohan Weerasinghe a few weeks ago, and I was doing it on masculinity and femininity. We had about 60 people there, half and half. And I was working with the men on helping them really, really reclaim their authentic masculinity, which they were very frightened of doing, but getting their bodies to move rather than just using the thinking part of their mind. They were able to tap into that very strong, determined, protective masculine energy, and the shift in them and the and I will use the word power then, the power that they were able to take back into their body in a way that gave them strong self-esteem, and the way they lost that uncomfortable macho showy-offy bit was extraordinary. And with the women, helping them to, if you like, surrender to their feminine, their juicy feminine, their sexualness, their beauty of movement. The women were in tears, and actually the men were just agog watching the women being truly themselves, because we've honestly not often had that opportunity to really, really learn how to express ourselves without words. We've become a very wordy society. But when we dance, when we move with a purpose, the difference is extraordinary. And when I'm working with women in particular, you know, I ask women to put a sash around their hips and put some belly dancing music on and just learn to move from that energy, because that part of the body, our pelvic area, is our sexual area. It's where we bear our children from, but it's also our creative space. And if we're walking like stick people with no fluidity in our hip area, we actually are dampening down our creativity. So it's wonderful seeing the transformation in people and the way their eyes light up. And it's like, I liken it to re-recording a CD. You know when you have a CD and you don't like it and it's a re-recordable one? What we do in the classes when we're dancing is we re-record over all the old unpleasant memories, if you like, of things that have happened to us, and we come up with a new memory which goes deep into the cells of our body, because we're moving. And the body has a cellular memory and a muscle memory, so it remembers this way of moving. And so self-esteem is able to come up in a way that is unable to be expressed just by talking to people.
Fantastic. I know for myself, I haven't gone for any training, but personally I love to dance. And whenever I'm feeling stressed out, I put on music and I do some shaking of my body, and it does help. And it does help really well. Yeah.
And your body will thank you for it. Your body is going, oh, thank you, I've just needed to move. And it's so beautiful. There's so much wonderful music. The music I use is very specifically chosen. And it's not, you know, it's sort of from Bach to the Beatles to Beethoven to whoever, and world music, but it's not the very heavy sort of disco music, because that actually can be quite harmful. It's interesting. When I had my horticulture company, when my husband, my former husband, was playing sort of heavy metal and rock music in my conservatory, my plants would wilt. They literally would wilt, and I believe that's the vibration of music which becomes toxic, even with plants. So if it's doing it with plants, what's it doing to us? And yet the music I use has been very specifically chosen to bring out specific emotions and bring out specific way where the body just wants to move in a particular way. And it's so beautiful to watch. Just amazing.
Something that you mentioned earlier on, and I really need to bring it out because I think towards the end of last year, I heard quite a lot of ladies talk about burnout. And even this year, you know, I heard in some discussion, some lady said, oh, I had a burnout last year and I just couldn't function anymore. What causes this burnout, and how can we as women avoid it in 2013?
My belief is that's when we're doing the masculine thing too much. Now, we do need masculine energy. You know the yin-yang symbol. One side of it has this yang energy, this white energy with a little dot, which is the feminine energy, and the other side is the dark energy, which is the feminine, that has a little dot of the masculine energy. Now, there's no straight line between those two. It's a curved line, so it's a flow. So it's not, am I going to be, right, I've got to get into my male energy now. It's a flow. It's giving yourself permission to be more in your yang energy. I prefer to call it yang energy rather than masculine energy, but it is, in effect, a more powerful energy as opposed to that soft energy. But this is where the potency comes in. You move into the potency, which is a slightly stronger energy, because if we don't use that masculine side of our energy, we won't get anything done. You wouldn't be able to give birth to a baby unless you use your masculine energy. You have to use male energy to push a baby out. Otherwise, it just won't come out. We need to use masculine energy when we're putting anything out into the world. But it's when we overdo it, that's when the burnout comes. And as women, we do tend to overdo it. We give, and when we've given everything we've got, we go inside and we find a bit more. And I think it's because there's so much self-criticism and self-judgment, and we always feel unworthy for whatever reason. And this has been through the centuries, and we've taken it on as a program. So what I do is help women to get rid of that programming so they can bring that beauty back of that place. And I have been burnt out. I said earlier, burnout is very real. And what we need to start doing is taking more time for ourselves, to nourish ourselves, to move our bodies, to do these dancing, this gentle dancing and the rhythmic dancing. And my belief, we should take an hour a day and a day a week to really nourish us. And that doesn't mean sitting in front of a television. It means going for a walk, being in nature, swimming in the sea, lying in the sunshine, jumping up and down in puddles, kicking the leaves in the woods, swinging from a tree, just smelling the flowers, literally smelling the flowers. And walking by the canal, walking by the river, just being at one with the environment, because we don't do that enough. And that's very nurturing for us. There are so many things that we can do. But it's also very much about listening to our body. If you've been asked to do something, if there's an energy inside us, that if it feels very heavy, it's your body going, don't go there. And if it feels light and breezy, that's your body going, yeah, I'm happy to do that. So part of the burnout is listening to your body and what it's asking from you.
Fantastic.
I could talk all night on this one, but I won't.
I know. I know. You're so passionate about it. I can feel it. You have a book called The 7 Secrets, and you wanted to share with us 3 secrets from that book?
Yes, I've got 3 little secrets, it's a little book that I've written, which is a little sort of workbook. So the secret number 1 is work from the inside out. We often work from the outside in. We're expecting external trappings to help us, but if you're not feeling good on the inside and not being authentic in the way you show up, you'll lose the game of life. So some questions here. What talents, gifts, and abilities are you hiding? What if you're more talented than you ever thought possible? And what's the talent and ability, the one thing that you can do so easily that you think it has no value? So I think working from the inside is a really important thing. So it's finding out who you are, what you want to do, what drives you, what juices you, what makes you feel fabulous. Secret number 6 is, again, I've talked about all these a little bit. What if you were willing to care for and nurture you? When you honor yourself, it really does show. And when you listen to that small voice inside, it shows. Other people then will begin to honor you. It's as if you're treating them how to treat you. So if you're not being treated very well, you need to look inside again and go, what am I not honoring inside myself? And it's a really important thing to honor yourself, self-respect and nurturing yourself. It reveals itself in every pore of your being. And people respond to that. It really, really does show up. I'm only giving this in a very potted version because I know time is running out. Secret number 7 is wake up your lust for life. So many people seem to drag themselves out of bed in the morning. They wake themselves up with strong coffee, they drag themselves off to work, and then they sort of drug themselves throughout the day. But again, your sexual energy, which I've talked about again, is your creative life force. And when you disconnect with that, you disconnect with the excitement and enjoyment of life. And you need to apply it in every aspect of life, including business. And I talk about that more. I'm writing a new book, so you'll have to wait for that one. So it's very important, this sexualness that we have, to reconnect with that. That's our creative energy. Don't have to use it for having sex. It is a creative, juicy energy. And when we're connected with that, it makes all the difference. And it makes all the difference in business.
Fantastic. Now, I know you've got a program coming up soon, a 2.5-day workshop. Do you want to tell us more about that?
I don't have the dates yet, but if they can connect through you or on my website, essenceofwomanhood.com, I'd be delighted to send people the information when that happens. It's called Dance Your Way to the Top, and it is a 2.5-day workshop for entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs and business women on feminine leadership without getting burnt out. So a lot of what we've been talking about today. So yes, it will involve some dance, but it will also involve discussion and some workbook work and questions and reveals of how to do 2013 without that awful burnout. So lots and lots of wonderful help, which will just be such an important support mechanism to stop this dreadful burnout. I know so many women who have burnt out in the last year, and even women who work with nutrition and fitness, and you'd never expect them to burn out, and they have.
Well, do let us know when the workshop date is fixed so that we can spread the word.
I will
all
indeed.
The women
Thank you.
Network, yeah. But before I let you go, we still do have time. Before I let you go, there are some men who are listening to this show today. What word can you give to everyone in general, including the men who are listening?
I have to tell you, I so honor the men who come and listen to this sort of work. I so honor the men who are wanting to help their women be more in their feminine flow and who are willing to step up into their masculine energy. The one thing I beg of you men is please be in your masculine energy. I can help you with that one, because if you're not, then we women have to step up into our masculine energy, and then you don't like us. We become what I call the Wicked Witch of the North. And if we're not in our feminine flow, the stuff that comes out of our mouth is not pretty, and the way we behave is not nice. But if you don't step up into that male protective energy, then we do. And it's really tough for women, because it affects our body, it affects us spiritually, it affects everything, it affects our energy. And that's not what we want from you. It doesn't mean to say that you can't be in receptive mode at some times and be nurtured and looked after by women as well. But generally, we need to know that you're stronger than us, because otherwise we have this awful fight. So please, guys, please, please, please. It's very interesting when a lot of men say, oh, I'm really in touch with my feminine energy, and I'm going, oh, please don't do that. Again, looking at the yin-yang symbol, it's a germ of a feminine energy. It's not please live from it. You be in touch with it, understand it, relate to it from time to time. That's the creative, the poetic side in the man, the romantic side. But we need your bodies. We need you to have strong shoulders, a strong chest. And intuitively, when women are looking at a man, we scan your bodies, we scan your shoulders to see if they're strong enough to hold us, to support us. We need to know that if there's a tsunami, if there's an earthquake, you can actually pick us up, throw us over your shoulder, and carry us off to safety, despite the fact that this is 2013. It's in our DNA. We still need you men to be men and to protect
I still
us,
need them.
so that we can bring that
I
beauty
totally agree.
and that
We
joy
women,
into your
we still
lives.
do need the men, Yeah, we still do need you guys. Thank you so much, Susie. It's been lovely having you on the show, and I look forward to connecting with you further. And I want to invite all the ladies who are listening.
It's been an absolute joy for me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Such a joy, and thank you for letting me yak on. I can, as I say, I can talk about this for hours and hours now. So probably just as well.
Yeah, I can feel that you're passionate about it and it flows out from you so easily. Yes, you can. Yeah, I can tell it's experience. It's not just that you've read it from a book.
Because Placida, we're mothers of men. We need to learn how to look after our men and to help bring them up as men. That's going to be the title of another book in the future. It's going to be Mothers of Men. Because we need to bring our men up in a way that they understand their role. Because I think we've done them a great disservice.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm probably going to get thrown at me for that one. But I do believe we can.
So,
I will now stop.
Susie, Susie, can you tell the listeners where they can find you, your website, your social media handles?
Yes. My website is www.essenceofwomanhood.com, and if you go onto there, you'll get if you're kind enough to leave me your email address, you'll be able to download a little book called Little Gems, which is taken from the Essence of Womanhood, and there's also an audio relaxation there. And also on the website, if you don't want to leave your name and email address, you can collect a certificate of permission if you rattle around the website, which is just a lovely tool to have. You will find me as Susie Heath on Twitter, at Susie Heath, and on Facebook at Susie Joy Heath or Susie Heath on Facebook. So very, very much look forward to connecting with people, and thank you so much for having me on. It's just been such a joy to be on the other side of the microphone. As you know, I have my own show, my radio show, and I'm interviewing other people, and it's lovely to be interviewed myself this time. So thank you very much for your generosity and for asking me such powerful questions. It's been great.
You're welcome. So, well, listeners, thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys on our next show in 2 weeks' time. Happy New Year, everybody.
You've been listening to Keep Your Dream Alive with business mentor and monetization strategist, Placida Acheru. Join us every first and third Wednesday of the month. Until then, keep your dream alive.